Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone, and a total of 17 West Indian players are set to participate in the upcoming IPL season, slated to run from April 2nd to June 3rd of this year. The Caribbean list of 17 marks the largest number of overseas players to feature in the marquee T20 league in the world. The West Indian players selected were Andre Russell, Nicholas Pooran heads across the Sunrisers, Hyderabad, Jason Holder, Shimron Hetmeyer, Romario Shepherd, Karen Pollard, Sunil Narayan, Odin Smith, Dwayne Bravo, Ravman Powell, Elzari Joseph, Evan Lewis, Dominic Drakes, Sherfane Rutherford, Fabian Allen, Obed McCoy, and Kyle Mayers. Well, President of Cricket West Indies, Ricky Scarrett, issued a statement on the selection of players from the region set to showcase their talents. He says, "I want to congratulate all of the West Indies players who have secured contracts to the various franchises in the IPL, which is the biggest and most lucrative global T20 franchise tournament. But I especially want to applaud those younger players who received their first full IPL contracts. This shows great faith in emerging West Indies talent. I continue to believe that our players can seek quality employment abroad and still be positioned to operate constructively and successfully within the West Indies cricket system." Well, West Indies white ball captain Nicholas Pooran heads a handful of Windies players securing $1 million contracts. To help us understand the draft, how it works, the auction prices, and an apparent increased interest in Caribbean players, let's join the Barbados-based Paul Skinner, a team manager at the former IPL franchise, Deccan Chargers. Welcome to the SportsMax Zone.
Hi, good evening. Thanks very much.
No problem. I think I should start by asking you about how good does it feel to see a lot of our Caribbean or West Indies players making it to these IPL teams?
Well, if it's any indication that for both auctions, I was up at 2 o'clock in the morning to watch them as they proceeded through, because I figured this year would have been an interesting one with the emergence of a lot of interesting talents over the last year and a half. The opportunities are there now. It's a big auction for the IPL, so that presented more opportunities for our guys to get involved. Agreed, there's a lot of T20 talent out there, but I do believe we have a special talent for that format of the game. And a lot of guys now have the opportunity, as the president said, to gain full contracts with IPL teams in this new expanded 10-team league. It feels really good. And I'm happy for these gentlemen that now have an opportunity to, well, better themselves by securing these rather lucrative contracts, playing cricket in the biggest T20 league, the IPL.
Yeah, and Paul, as you mentioned, better themselves, immediately I think about the youngsters who have gotten contracts for the first time. How big of a deal is this for them, and how does this help improve their cricket on the whole, their confidence moving forward?
This is life-changing. I mean, I look at it a little broader. I think this is an opportunity now where not only do you secure a good contract, you have the opportunity of rubbing shoulders with some of the greatest players from all around the globe. But this is also an opportunity to reflect on yourself and what you need to improve your game going forward, and to use this new, I'd use the word windfall, to invest in yourself and have a plan going forward, not only for the investment of the funds that you will earn from this, but also work on those areas of your game, your fitness, your mental strength, in improving yourself as an all-round cricketer, a better cricketer, and better your situation, whatever it may be. For these young players, it's more money than many of them or us have seen at one time in a lifetime, and now you have an opportunity to go and showcase your talents, and as I say, better the immediate situation and help be an inspiration to those around you as well. It's really pleasing that a lot of young cricketers have gotten their start. It has happened for Indian cricketers before, and I use one example in Rohit Sharma, coming out of the under 19 World Cup, got an opportunity to play with Deccan Chargers back in the day, and then went on to play with Mumbai, and has been there, and now captains in international cricket, and also has captained at the franchise level as well. So this is used well. This is a very positive start and something that can be built on going forward.
Yeah, I'm looking at a list here of the non-selected players in the 2022 IPL draft. Names like Sheldon Cottrell, Kenara Lewis, Akil Hussain. Akil has been doing very well as of recent, and Roston Chase. How surprised are you with this?
Well, if I'm to be honest, Akil, as you know, plays for us in Trinbago. I was looking forward to securing a contract this year. But if I guess the truth of the matter, reflecting on the way the draft goes, it depends on what the needs are for the particular teams and establishing the balance for those teams. So if there's a spinner that's been selected or the teams had selected their quota of spinners that they needed at that time, then of course it becomes a little bit more difficult for someone to squeeze in, and he comes in as an overseas player. So there's a bit of balance that has to go with that as well, or consideration. So there is needed some degree of luck in getting in, because you have to be available when a team sees a need for a particular player. And you can tell by the bidding, that unexpected bidding that you may have seen for one or two players at different times, where later down in the draft, I give Tim David as one that went on quite furiously between, well, my parent franchise, KKR, were going after him, but there was a constant bidding war that was going on for him as a talent. And that could have been maybe because, again, there was for the balance of the squad, they needed that type of batter or player in their respective squads, and therefore the bidding war started. And it depends also on the purse that you have available to spend on a particular player, and what you see as what is necessary still, the upcoming buys that you would have for the team. So there's a lot of strategy that goes in. Most franchises would have backup players with the various talents required to make a balanced squad, whether it be overseas or Indian players. So yeah, a bit of luck and chance. I'd obviously hope that all the West Indian names that would have gone into the draft would have had an opportunity, but you know, sometimes how things go, you may not get selected in the draft, but as things go through the tournament, somebody is unavailable because international duty comes up or some other commitment, and these folks will call. So I would say to the guys, stay fit. You never know when you can be called. Just be ready at any time to take up the challenge and head over to the IPL.
Yeah, Paul, I want you to talk a little bit more about the auction and how it works and when teams go targeting players, because as we said, you were the team manager at the Deccan Chargers when it was in flight. Champions actually in 2009. You said Rohit Sharma was one of your top players there. Can you remind us of some of the top players Deccan Chargers had when you were team managers, and how you were able to win auction bids to secure them?
Well, I don't think Kumar Sangakkara would have been the captain during my time. Before that would have been Adam Gilchrist. And those are two extremely big, as they are, wicketkeeper, batsman, names in cricket. No, those are certainly very big names in cricket. Rohit would have been there as well. Progyanyojo, you would have seen on TV as a member of the governing council for BCCI, who did some selections. So there's just a few. Ishant Sharma, who was also still in the auction. Amit Mishra would have been there, as well as Indian talents that would have been around. JP Dumini, South African, that was on our squad. Herschel Gibbs in the early days as well. So BVS Lachman in the first years of the IPL. The mechanisms, I don't think, has changed too much. I mean, teams do a lot of pre-work ahead of the auction, and they express their interest in various players so that to ensure that these players are actually considered for the auction. You will have your first choice, second choice, third choice, and you will go after certain players. There's a retention, some retentions that happen beforehand. So persons like Kieran Pollard, Sunil Ryan, Andre Russell were all retained ahead of the draft by their respective franchises based on the fact that they were playing with those franchises before, and that goes according to the rules of the IPL. After that, then once those retentions are done, the way the IPL auction works is an open auction. Teams have a purse. I believe the purse is somewhere around 12 million, if not 12 million, for all of their players, yeah. And they can then spend that as they wish in a true auction style, filling their rosters with the different players that they require. And once you have the money in the bank and you're the highest securing bid, that player then joins your franchise as a player.
All right, let me talk.
That's, I think, the simplest way. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me get quickly now to the fees, the auction prices that players go at. We see that several West Indians have topped the $1 million mark, headed by Nicholas Pooran, Hetmar, Jason Holder, also getting contracts in excess of $1 million. Andre Russell, retained by his KKR, who is your parent franchise, you being attached at the moment with the Trinbago Knight Riders. How much of this would the players get? We see Andre Russell then, 1.6 million. Nicholas Pooran, 1.4 million. How much of that figure actually goes into the player's pocket?
Well, in asking around the players and having some connections with agents of these players, my understanding is that once the players get to play, if there are 10 games in the season, and they are on the playing squad, the playing 11 for those 10 games, they will get 100% of whatever fees you saw them selected for in the auction.
Wow.
So if they're on the playing squad, playing all the games, they get 100% of what is there. If they are available for selection, but not selected to play in the playing 11, my understanding is that the contract speaks that 80%, I believe, is what they get of that fee for that particular game. So if whatever games they do not play, they get 80% of whatever the per game fee. So if someone who's getting $1 million for the season, and the season is 10 games long, $100,000 per game. If they're not selected but are fit to play, they would get $80,000 for that game. If for some reason they're injured and unable to play, not unfit to play, unfit for selection, not able to be selected, then I think the fee drops to 50% of whatever that game fee would be. If they're fully fit and available for play and get selected, the next game, of course, they're back up to whatever the match fee is of $100,000 for a person earning $1 million for 10 games.
Yeah. Is it any wonder then, Paul, that Caribbean players so desperately want IPL contracts?
Well, I think everyone aspires to earn more. I don't think anyone would say, well, I'm going to pay you more to do what you enjoy doing and love doing in your job. And you're going to say, no, thank you. I'd prefer just, other than personal reasons. So, yes, but it gives you an opportunity. I mean, there's a lot of excitement and buzz around the IPL. Agreed with COVID, it's taken back with the absence of crowds. But, I mean, and of course, we in the Caribbean, with the CPL, we have a different vibe and enjoyment of our cricket. But the atmosphere, playing in front of the crowds in India and being in the franchise where their squads are bigger than ours here in the Caribbean, I think most of these teams are taking about 23 players as their squad size. And then, of course, the support staff. And then, of course, the funds that they put behind facilities and all of that to support the players. It is an experience that, I mean, having been there, I spent 5 years actually working with the IPL in different forms, that it's something that you have to experience to really appreciate the magnitude of the game, the pressure, the situation, the buzz around each of the cities and franchises that are competing against each other. Definitely worth, even as a fan, to visit and experience.
Paul Skinner, great talking to you on the SportsMax Zone. We look forward to having more conversations with you as the IPL gets closer. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you very much. And if I just may, for 10 seconds, today is my first niece's 18th birthday, and I just want to take this opportunity very selfishly to wish her a very happy birthday. Very happy 18th birthday, Haley.
Haley. Okay.
Haley,
great.
yeah.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Haley, coming from the SportsMax Zone as well. So that's Paul Skinner there, currently attached to the Trinbago Knight Riders, but he was the former team manager of the Deccan Chargers, who were champions of the IPL back in 2009. Back with more of the SportsMax Zone after this.